You have to understand something crucial about human behavior. When you chase, you push people away. It's simple, but it's often overlooked because it doesn't feel intuitive. From a very young age, we are conditioned to believe that effort equals love, attention, or validation. If someone doesn't respond to our calls, texts, or gestures, we double down. We send another message, we over-explain ourselves, we show up more, we try harder. And yet, the very act of chasing is the thing that makes people lose interest. It creates tension, discomfort, and unconsciously signals that your value is conditional on their approval. People respect people who are self-sufficient. They are attracted to those who are fully engaged in their own lives and aren't dependent on anyone else for happiness. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you shift the energy completely. Suddenly, you're no longer in a position of need, and that changes the dynamic in ways you can't even imagine. Attraction isn't about playing games, it's about alignment. It's about showing that you are someone who has a life, who has boundaries, and who has dreams. The moment you detach from the desperation to control someone else's attention, you step into a magnetic presence. And here's why this works psychologically. Humans are wired to notice confidence. It's an evolutionary trait. When a person demonstrates that they are capable, independent, and secure in themselves, others instinctively perceive them as higher value. This is not superficial, it's a basic instinct. Chasing signals uncertainty, insecurity, and lack of self-worth, while attracting signals competence, autonomy, and self-respect. The two could not be more opposite, and the difference is night and day in how others perceive you. Think about the times when someone came to you effortlessly, without needing to prove anything. Maybe it was a friend, a colleague, or a partner. There was an ease about them, a calm confidence, an aura that said, I am complete without your validation, but I choose to share my time with you. That feeling is magnetic, and it's exactly what you want to cultivate. Chasing never generates that energy, it generates anxiety, frustration, and pressure. People don't respond positively to pressure. They respond to curiosity, intrigue, and respect. By letting go of the urge to chase, you create space for attraction to emerge naturally. You become the kind of person that others want to be around, not because you begged for it, but because your presence is desirable on its own merit. It's also important to understand the role of scarcity and availability. When you are constantly available, when you respond immediately, when you go out of your way to be present at all times, you inadvertently communicate that your attention is cheap, that your energy is unlimited, and that your boundaries are non-existent. And this erodes respect. On the other hand, when you are selective, when you prioritize your own goals and responsibilities, and when you show that your time and energy are valuable, people notice. They realize that interacting with you is a privilege, not a given, and that perception drives respect. Attraction is not about manipulation, it's about valuing yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve, and the moment you embody that value, people are drawn to you naturally. The concept of stop chasing, start attracting also has a profound impact on your internal psychology. When you chase, your brain enters a loop of reward and stress. You're constantly seeking validation, checking for responses, analyzing every interaction, and feeling anxious about outcomes. It's exhausting and it keeps you in a reactive state. When you shift to attraction, your mindset changes. You focus on yourself, your passions, your goals, and your growth. You operate from a place of power, not need. This shift is not just attractive to others, it transforms your life internally. Your confidence grows because you are no longer defined by other people's reactions. You learn that your worth is inherent, and that self-empowerment is far more compelling than approval-seeking. Another critical aspect to consider is the psychology of desire. Humans are naturally drawn to challenge, to intrigue, and to mystery. When you chase relentlessly, you remove all mystery. You are an open book with pages ripped out, leaving nothing for the other person to discover. Attraction, on the other hand, thrives on balance. You give enough to engage, but not so much that it diminishes curiosity. You allow space for the other person to initiate, to wonder, to step forward on their own. This is not about playing games, it's about understanding human nature and aligning your actions with it. The more you practice detachment and self-respect, the more people are unconsciously drawn to you, and the stronger the respect they develop. It's also worth noting that attraction is amplified by authenticity. When you stop chasing, you stop pretending. You stop trying to be someone you're not just to get attention. Instead, you show up as yourself, unfiltered and genuine. People respect authenticity because it requires courage, and courage commands attention. There's nothing more compelling than someone who knows who they are and refuses to compromise their identity to appease others. When you combine authenticity with detachment and self-sufficiency, you create a magnetic presence that is irresistible. Finally, understand that letting go is not passive. It doesn't mean ignoring people or withdrawing out of fear. It means focusing your energy on yourself, your life, and your growth while maintaining openness to connection. It means trusting that the right people, the people who truly value and respect you, will gravitate toward you naturally. Chasing creates temporary attention, but attraction creates lasting respect and genuine connection. When you embody this principle, your interactions shift from frantic and reactive to calm, intentional, and powerful, and the people around you respond accordingly. Boundaries are one of the most misunderstood aspects of human relationships, and yet they are the single most powerful tool you have to command respect. Most people think boundaries are about being rigid or cold, about shutting people out, but that's not true at all. Boundaries are about self-respect. They are about knowing your worth and making it clear to others that your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being are not negotiable. When you are consistent in enforcing your boundaries, something amazing happens. People start treating you differently. They start respecting you in ways they never did when you were bending over backward to accommodate everyone else, saying yes to everything, and overextending yourself just to be liked or accepted. Respect is not given, it is earned through clarity and consistency, and boundaries are the framework through which that respect is built. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish or rude. From a young age, we are taught to please, to comply, to avoid conflict. But here's the truth, saying no is the purest form of self-respect. It signals that you value yourself, that you understand your limits, and that you will not compromise your well-being for someone else's convenience. When you consistently maintain your boundaries, people cannot help but notice. It may feel uncomfortable at first because the world is full of people who are used to taking advantage of flexibility, who are accustomed to others constantly giving in. But that discomfort is temporary, and the long-term result is a transformation in how others perceive and treat you. People naturally gravitate toward those who have structure and clarity in their lives because structure conveys confidence, stability, and self-assurance, all of which are traits that command respect. Consistency is the key here. It's not enough to set a boundary once and then break it when it feels inconvenient. Inconsistency signals weakness. It signals that your boundaries are negotiable and that your self-respect can be compromised. For example, if you always make time for others at the expense of your own priorities, people will subconsciously register that your time is not valuable, and they will continue to take advantage of it. But if you clearly communicate your limits and consistently enforce them, you send a different message. Your time is precious, your energy is finite, and you will not allow it to be wasted. This consistency builds an aura of authority and reliability, and people naturally respond with respect because they understand that crossing your boundaries has consequences. Boundaries also play a critical role in emotional intelligence. When you enforce your limits consistently, you teach others how to treat you, but you also teach yourself how to honor your own needs. There is a direct link between boundaries and emotional resilience. People who have clear boundaries are less likely to be manipulated, less likely to overcommit, and less likely to be drained by the demands of others. This emotional clarity is magnetic. People instinctively recognize the energy of someone who is in control of their own life, who is not reactive, and who is able to protect their mental and emotional space. When you are consistent with boundaries, you are effectively telling the world, I am responsible for myself, and I expect others to treat me with the same level of responsibility and respect. The psychology behind boundaries is fascinating. Humans are wired to respond to consistency and predictability because it creates a sense of safety and trust. When you enforce your boundaries reliably, people know what to expect from you. They understand your limits and are less likely to test them because they recognize that there are real consequences. This is different from punishment or aggression. It's simply clarity and firmness. Boundaries are a signal of strength, not weakness. They communicate that you have standards, that you understand your value, and that you are unwilling to compromise it for temporary approval or convenience. Over time, this consistency becomes a defining feature of your presence, and people can't help but respect it. Many people make the mistake of confusing kindness with permissiveness. They think that being kind means saying yes to every request, ignoring their own needs, and tolerating behavior that undermines them. But kindness without boundaries is actually a form of weakness. True respect and admiration come when you combine kindness with firmness. You can be compassionate and empathetic, yet still unwavering in your limits. For instance, you can support a friend without allowing them to dominate your time, or you can show love to a partner without tolerating disrespect. People are drawn to this kind of strength because it demonstrates self-awareness, emotional maturity, and integrity. It shows that your actions are guided by principles, not by fear of rejection or desire for validation. Boundaries are also crucial in professional settings, where respect can make or break relationships. Consistent boundaries in the workplace show colleagues and superiors that you are reliable, disciplined, and confident. If you are constantly available at all hours, taking on extra work that isn't yours, or tolerating unreasonable demands, people start to undervalue you. But if you clearly define your responsibilities, communicate your limits, and stick to them, you immediately elevate your status. You become someone whose time and expertise are valued, not exploited. This principle applies everywhere, from friendships to romantic relationships to family dynamics. Respect follows consistency, and consistency in boundaries is the fastest path to cultivating it. It's also important to note that boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They are about saying yes to yourself. Every time you enforce a limit, you are prioritizing your own well-being and growth. You are investing in your own sense of security, confidence, and self-esteem. And here's the magic of it: when you show that you respect yourself, others can't help but mirror that respect back to you. People pick up on energy, and when your energy communicates self-assuredness and clarity, it draws others toward you in a healthy, respectful way. Consistency in boundaries creates a ripple effect in every aspect of your life. It teaches others how to treat you, it strengthens your emotional resilience, it elevates your self-esteem, and it establishes a standard for interactions. People notice it consciously and unconsciously. They see someone who is dependable, principled, and unwavering in their self-respect, and they respond accordingly. Over time, this consistency becomes a defining feature of your presence, shaping the way people perceive and interact with you, and it becomes a magnet for respect in every sphere of your life. Mastering your emotions is one of the most powerful steps you can take to earn respect and influence others, yet it's also one of the most overlooked skills in life. Most people live reactively. They allow their feelings to control their behavior, they let anger, fear, frustration, or insecurity dictate their actions. When someone insults them, they lash out. When someone ignores them, they panic or overcompensate. When something doesn't go their way, they spiral into stress or self-doubt. This reactive pattern may feel justified in the moment, but it diminishes your power and erodes the respect others have for you. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding them, controlling your responses, and showing up in a way that communicates confidence, self-assuredness, and stability. People instinctively respect those who are composed under pressure because calmness signals strength, reliability, and maturity. Emotional mastery starts with self-awareness. You have to know what triggers your strongest reactions, what situations make you anxious, angry, or insecure, and how your body and mind respond in those moments. Awareness alone gives you a choice. Once you recognize your patterns, you can decide how to act instead of reacting. For example, if you notice that criticism makes you defensive, you can pause, take a breath, and respond thoughtfully instead of snapping. That pause is where power lives. It may feel small, but every time you choose your response, you reinforce your control over your emotions and demonstrate to others that you are not a slave to circumstances or to other people's behavior. That self-control is magnetic and commands respect. Another aspect of mastering your emotions is detachment. This doesn't mean indifference, it means not letting external events dictate your internal state. When you master detachment, you can experience emotions fully but choose how you express them. If someone tries to provoke you, instead of reacting impulsively, you respond calmly or choose to remain silent. Silence is a powerful tool in emotional mastery because it communicates strength without aggression. People sense it, they feel it. Someone who can stay grounded while others are losing their composure exudes a quiet authority that naturally attracts respect. Emotional mastery is like a superpower in social interactions because it shifts the energy in a room, and people subconsciously respond to that energy by respecting and valuing your presence. One critical element of emotional mastery is learning to reframe challenges. Life is full of situations that are frustrating, unfair, or stressful, but the way you interpret these situations determines your emotional response. Instead of seeing an obstacle as a personal attack or a setback, you see it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, or to demonstrate composure. This mindset shift doesn't just reduce stress, it elevates how people perceive you. They see someone who can handle adversity without losing control, and that creates admiration and trust. People want to be around individuals who make them feel safe and stable, and mastering your emotions provides that stability. Communication is also deeply influenced by emotional mastery. When you are in control of your emotions, your words carry weight. You speak deliberately rather than reactively, and your tone, body language, and choice of words all communicate confidence and authority. Conversely, if you let emotions dictate your speech, you risk saying things that undermine your credibility, provoke conflict unnecessarily, or push people away. Mastering your emotions allows you to engage thoughtfully, to assert your needs without aggression, and to influence others without forcing them. People naturally respect those who can communicate clearly and calmly even in tense situations because it signals intelligence, maturity, and emotional depth. It's also important to recognize that mastering emotions requires practice and patience. It's not a switch you flip overnight. Every time you face a triggering situation and respond with control instead of impulse, you strengthen your emotional resilience. You reinforce neural pathways that allow you to remain composed in future challenges. Over time, emotional mastery becomes your default mode, and your presence becomes inherently magnetic. People begin to notice that you are dependable in how you handle yourself, that you don't overreact, that you can navigate difficult situations with grace. That perception is what earns respect consistently, not momentary actions or words. Emotional mastery also affects your relationships on a deeper level. When you are in control of your feelings, you are not giving others power over you. You are not letting them dictate your mood, your confidence, or your self-worth. This creates a sense of equality in interactions and fosters mutual respect. People can sense when someone is emotionally independent. They sense that your happiness and stability are not contingent on their actions. This independence is magnetic because it creates an energy of strength and reliability that draws others in naturally. People want to be around those who can handle themselves because it makes them feel safe, respected, and understood. Another often overlooked aspect is the impact of emotional mastery on decision-making. When your emotions control you, decisions are often reactive, impulsive, or short-sighted. When you master your emotions, your choices are deliberate, grounded, and wise. People notice this consistency in judgment and approach, and it further reinforces their respect for you. Emotional control signals that you are a person who can handle responsibility, who can be trusted in difficult situations, and who can navigate complex dynamics without drama. This combination of self-awareness, composure, and intentional action is irresistible in terms of social influence and respect. Finally, mastering emotions allows you to maintain perspective in the face of conflict or criticism. Instead of reacting defensively or with aggression, you can assess the situation rationally, understand the other person's perspective, and respond in a way that reinforces your dignity rather than diminishing it. People instinctively admire those who remain calm, who refuse to be manipulated, and who can assert themselves without hostility. Emotional mastery communicates that you are in charge of yourself, that you are reliable, and that you are someone whose presence is stabilizing rather than destabilizing. Over time, this emotional consistency becomes a defining feature of your personality and a magnet for respect in every area of life. Confidence is one of the most magnetic traits a person can have, yet it is often misunderstood. Many people equate confidence with arrogance, loudness, or dominance, but true confidence is quiet, grounded, and undeniable. It is not about proving yourself to anyone or seeking validation. It is about believing in yourself so fully that your actions, presence, and demeanor naturally communicate worth and authority. People respect those who exude confidence because it signals competence, reliability, and self-assurance, and humans are wired to gravitate toward those who display these qualities. Confidence is visible long before words are spoken. It is embedded in your posture, your movements, your tone of voice, and the energy you carry. In fact, your confidence often says more than your words ever could. One of the first aspects of confidence is posture and body language. Standing tall, maintaining an open stance, and holding your head high are all subtle but powerful ways to signal self-assurance. Slouching, avoiding eye contact, or fidgeting communicates insecurity, even if your words are bold or persuasive. When you walk into a room with confidence, people notice immediately, often before you even speak. Your presence commands attention, not because you demand it, but because you naturally occupy space in a way that conveys self-respect. Humans are instinctively drawn to individuals who demonstrate this kind of physical confidence because it signals stability and strength, and people respond with admiration and respect without conscious thought. Voice and tone are equally important. A confident person speaks clearly, with steady pacing, and with an even volume that matches the room. They don't rush their words out of nervousness, nor do they speak in a hesitant, questioning tone that undermines their authority. The cadence of speech carries immense weight in communication because it communicates certainty and decisiveness. When you speak confidently, people are more likely to trust your judgment, take your ideas seriously, and respect your perspective. Confidence in communication is not about dominating a conversation, it's about being grounded in your voice, deliberate in your words, and intentional in your delivery. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce respect through how you carry yourself rather than through what you say. Another crucial element of confidence is self-belief. True confidence comes from knowing who you are, your strengths, and your values, and being comfortable with both your accomplishments and your limitations. It's not about pretending to be perfect or hiding your flaws, it's about acknowledging them without letting them define you. People are naturally drawn to those who have this level of self-awareness because it radiates authenticity and security. When you believe in yourself fully, you don't seek external validation or approval, and that independence in itself commands respect. Confidence is magnetic because it communicates that you are complete on your own and that interactions with you are based on mutual value rather than neediness. Confidence also manifests in decision-making. A confident person makes choices decisively, even in uncertainty, because they trust their judgment and accept responsibility for the outcomes. Indecision, hesitation, and constant second-guessing signal insecurity, while deliberate, assured action signals competence. People respect those who can make clear, rational decisions under pressure because it demonstrates both clarity of thought and strength of character. Over time, consistently confident decision-making creates a reputation of reliability and authority, making others naturally defer to your insights and value your input. Importantly, confidence is also about presence and energy. It's not something you can fake in bits and pieces, it permeates everything you do. Confident people are fully engaged in the moment. They listen actively, respond thoughtfully, and participate without fear of judgment. Their energy is balanced and controlled. They don't overreact or seek attention desperately. This kind of presence is magnetic because it communicates that you are secure, grounded, and capable, and it draws others toward you effortlessly. People respect those who are fully present because it signals that they are trustworthy, attentive, and emotionally stable. One of the most overlooked aspects of confidence is how it interacts with vulnerability. Confident people are not afraid to be authentic or to show aspects of themselves that are human and real. They don't need to project perfection or dominance. Instead, they acknowledge challenges, admit mistakes, and express genuine emotions when appropriate. This paradoxical combination of strength and vulnerability is incredibly appealing because it demonstrates emotional intelligence, self-assurance, and courage. People respect those who can show humanity without losing authority, because it signals that their confidence is rooted in genuine self-belief rather than ego or facade. Confidence also affects how others perceive your boundaries and your standards. A confident person communicates limits effortlessly, not through aggression but through assertiveness and clarity. They do not bend to pressure, overextend themselves, or tolerate disrespect. People notice this immediately and respond with respect because confidence communicates value, your own value, and the expectation that others treat you accordingly. Boundaries reinforced by confidence are particularly powerful because they are not negotiable in tone or energy. They are part of the natural magnetism of the individual who carries themselves with assuredness. Another key element is the ripple effect confidence has on influence. Confident people inspire others simply by being present in their power. They model composure, decisiveness, and authenticity, and others are drawn to emulate them. This influence is not forced or manipulative, it is a natural byproduct of the energy they radiate. People respect and follow those whose confidence is steady and genuine because it provides a sense of stability, guidance, and inspiration. The respect commanded by confidence grows exponentially the more you demonstrate it consistently across interactions, relationships, and challenges. Finally, confidence allows you to remain calm under pressure. Challenges, criticism, and conflict are inevitable in life, but confident people respond rather than react. They approach problems with a level head, analyze situations rationally, and maintain their composure even when others around them are panicking. This calmness is a visual and emotional signal that communicates mastery, reliability, and leadership. People respect those who can handle adversity with grace because it signals that their presence is stabilizing, their judgment is sound, and their self-belief is unshakable. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools in human interaction, yet it holds more power than words ever can. Many people fear silence because they confuse it with weakness, awkwardness, or indifference, but the truth is that silence is one of the strongest ways to earn respect and influence others. When used intentionally, silence creates space, commands attention, and shifts energy. People are naturally drawn to individuals who do not feel the need to fill every moment with words, gestures, or explanations, because those who remain composed in silence demonstrate confidence, self-control, and independence. There is a certain magnetism to a person who can be fully present without constantly seeking validation or approval, and that magnetism is deeply tied to respect. The first thing to understand about the power of silence is that it creates space for reflection and curiosity. When you stop trying to force conversations, interactions, or attention, you give others the chance to engage on their own terms. Chasing and over-explaining often suffocate relationships and make people feel pressured, but silence allows them to step forward voluntarily. It taps into a fundamental principle of human psychology. People value what requires effort, attention, or initiative. When you are always available or constantly talking to prove your worth, you remove the element of effort. When you embrace silence, you reintroduce it, and suddenly interactions are more meaningful because they are chosen, not coerced. This is the subtle but incredibly effective way to attract respect and admiration. Silence also communicates strength in a way that words cannot. People who constantly justify themselves, explain their actions, or over-explain situations often appear insecure. They are signaling that their value depends on others' approval. On the other hand, those who can remain silent when provoked or criticized signal that they are confident enough in their worth that no external opinion can shake them. Silence in these moments is a form of emotional mastery. It demonstrates control, patience, and inner security. When others realize that you are unbothered by their attempts to provoke or manipulate you, their perception of your strength grows, and respect naturally follows. Another critical aspect of silence is that it encourages active listening and presence. When you are silent, you are not just withholding words, you are opening space to truly observe, hear, and understand what is happening around you. People can sense this level of attentiveness, and it communicates respect for them while reinforcing your own authority. Active listening makes others feel valued, and paradoxically, it also elevates your presence because it signals that you are fully aware and in control of the situation. Those who talk constantly may appear involved, but they often miss the subtleties that give them insight and power. Silence, when combined with observation, creates a psychological advantage because it allows you to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Silence also cultivates patience, which is a hallmark of respect-worthy behavior. Many people rush interactions, seeking immediate responses or gratification. This impatience often comes across as neediness, desperation, or a lack of self-confidence. Silence teaches you to wait, to pause, and to allow situations and relationships to develop naturally. When you master the art of patience, you send a subtle message that your time and energy are valuable, that you are not desperate for validation, and that you can allow life and people to unfold without forcing outcomes. People are drawn to that kind of composed presence, and over time, it builds admiration and trust. The psychology behind silence also taps into the human tendency to fill gaps with curiosity. When you remain silent or hold back from over-communicating, you create a kind of tension that people naturally want to resolve. Humans are inherently wired to seek understanding and closure, so when someone leaves space, others often step in to engage more deeply, reveal more, or demonstrate interest without being prompted. This is why silence can be such a powerful tool in relationships, negotiations, and influence. It allows others to invest effort, and effort breeds appreciation and respect. Those who chase attention or constantly over-explain rarely evoke the same depth of engagement because they remove that dynamic. Silence is also crucial in moments of conflict or confrontation. Reacting impulsively often escalates situations, provokes tension, or undermines your credibility. Choosing silence, on the other hand, signals that you are composed, that you are not controlled by emotion, and that you are capable of handling challenges with grace. People respect those who can remain calm in the storm because it demonstrates strength and reliability. Silence in these moments is not avoidance. It is a strategic choice that allows you to respond thoughtfully and assertively when the time is right. This approach conveys authority and self-possession, which are magnetic traits that naturally attract respect. Another subtle but profound effect of silence is that it reinforces your independence. When you constantly feel the need to explain, justify, or talk to gain approval, you inadvertently give others control over your self-worth. Silence, in contrast, signals that your value is inherent and not dependent on external validation. By practicing silence, you show that you are complete on your own, that your confidence is self-sustained, and that interactions are based on mutual interest rather than need. This independence is incredibly attractive and creates a natural respect that cannot be manufactured through words or effort alone. Silence also encourages reflection and self-awareness. When you slow down and stop trying to fill every moment with activity, conversation, or reaction, you create mental space to understand your own feelings, desires, and priorities. This clarity allows you to navigate interactions intentionally rather than reactively. People can sense this self-possession, and they are drawn to it because it communicates wisdom, composure, and authenticity. Silence becomes not only a tool for interacting with others but also a method for refining yourself, for cultivating the presence and energy that naturally demands respect. Finally, silence allows for the natural rhythm of attraction and influence. It balances presence and absence, action and pause, giving relationships, interactions, and opportunities room to breathe and grow. When you step back, refrain from chasing, and embrace silence, you create the conditions for others to step forward, for engagement to deepen, and for respect to be earned naturally rather than forced. It is a subtle, almost invisible power, but it is one of the most effective ways to shift dynamics, build authority, and cultivate the kind of presence that people cannot help but respect.